Are you struggling to create engaging and professional looking YouTube videos? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. In today's video, we'll break down the entire process of creating YouTube videos from start to finish, with some handy tips and a little help from Viddyoze, of course, to make your videos truly stand out. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another video. I'm Tom Ainscough and I'm a digital content producer here at Viddyoze. Today I'll be guiding you through the entire process of making amazing YouTube videos that'll not only grab your audience's attention, but also keep them coming back for more. So without further ado, let's get started. Planning and scripting. A well-planned video really is the foundation of success on YouTube. Start by brainstorming your video topic and outlining the main points you want to cover. If you're making a tutorial or educational video, you might want to write a full script to ensure you're covering all of the necessary information. For vlogs or more casual content, a rough outline of the video will usually do the trick if you want your content to be a little more freestyle. Don't worry too much if script writing isn't your greatest strength. We live in a world where software and AI can provide an incredibly helpful hand to our planning. Artificial intelligence tools such as ChatGPT have taken the world by storm with its incredible ability to produce written content from your initial idea. Or we of course have software like Viddyoze, which provides us with different pre-structured video recipes so that the thinking is already done. Whatever you decide to do, just remember that every great video starts with some form of planning or structure. Choosing your visuals. Once you have a plan and know what you'll be covering on your video, it's time to think about the visuals. If you're looking for minimal production work, then you might decide to go with a one-camera setup along with a decent microphone and one light. Some of you may have noticed the blue light I've added in the background behind me to help build a stronger brand identity on my own content. Thinking about things like location, particular lighting, and deciding on camera angles can elevate your content and help it stand out from the rest. Consider adding graphics, text overlays, or animations to stand out even further. And don't worry if you don't know how. The Viddyoze animation engine makes it easy to create these additional visual elements without any design skills required. We have everything from intros to lower thirds to call to actions, you name it, which are all completely customizable to give your videos that extra professional touch. Recording your video. Once you know how you'll visually want your video to look, it's time to hit the record button. Now, if I was doing this video maybe 20 years ago, then I'd probably say it's pretty important to invest in a good quality camera to help your content stand out from the rest. However, since we're in 2023 and 90% of the Earth's population walk around with incredibly high quality video cameras on their phones, I would honestly say just shoot on your phone. You see, 20 years ago, it wasn't necessarily the norm for content creators to use high quality cameras, so when someone did use a high quality camera, they stood out from the rest. But these days, every man and his dog are using high quality cameras, whether that's a full-on cinema camera or just an incredible camera that's been squeezed into a phone. It honestly really doesn't matter too much on what camera you use. If anything, as long as you have a camera that can shoot in at least a 1920 by 1080 resolution, then that'll more than do you if you're just getting started. Now, on the other hand, something that is very much worth investing in is good audio. I've said this a few times in the past, so I'm not going to rant on too much about this, but it's really important that the audio on your videos sound good. If your audience can't make out what you're saying on your content because maybe your microphone is all muffled or there's a load of background noise, then it's probably going to be one of the biggest reasons why your audience click away from your video. Think about it. You might be able to sit up to an hour or so listening to a crystal clear, crisp sounding podcast with no visuals at all. However, just try imagine watching a 5-minute video without any audio at all. Not the most engaging, is it? So, if you do have a spare bit of cash, then I'd very much recommend using it for a decent microphone rather than a really fancy camera. Personally, I tend to use the Tentacle Sync lapel microphone for a lot of my content, but there really is a wide range of mics to choose from, so shop around and see what fits your budget and purpose. Now, before we get into post-production, I just want to give a very quick mention around the importance of lighting. If I'm to be completely honest with you, it probably took me around 4 or 5 years working within the media industry to finally realise that 90% of my camera work wasn't necessarily bad or out of composition, I just never focused enough time on lighting. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about 3-point lighting for the next 10 minutes because, quite frankly, I don't think anyone wants that. However, I will say, even if you can just get one key light that you'll use for your content, as opposed to using your horribly tinted ceiling light, it'll make the world of difference to how your content will look. Shoot on your phone, get a good microphone, and don't disregard your lighting. Editing your video. So let's say you've done your shoot and you're all ready to stitch it together. Well, that's where video editing comes in, and it really is where the video really starts to come to life. Using advanced video editing software such as Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve is where you'll trim and arrange your clips, remove any mistakes, and ultimately create your video flow. Now, there's a million and one things I could reel off on how to get a golden piece of YouTube content through editing techniques, but I don't want to bombard or overwhelm anyone with too much technical information. So, why don't you check out my top 5 video editing tips video, which is a perfect introduction to anyone who's just starting out with video editing. Remember that any visual animations, transitions or overlays we decided to have in our video will all be added during the editing stage, so make sure you check out our Viddyoze animation engine if you're looking to easily create these elements. Towards the end of the editing process, we usually focus on refining other things such as the audio and colour correction to give our content that final polished look. Exporting and uploading. Great, you've pieced your video together and you're all ready to render it out and share it with the world. Depending on what video editor you've used, you'll be able to export your video in the right format for YouTube. Once your video is exported, all that's left to do is upload your video to YouTube with an attention-grabbing title, an engaging description, and relevant tags to help potential viewers discover your content. And remember, a custom thumbnail never goes amiss on YouTube these days to really get your video to stand out at a glance. And that's about it. With these steps and maybe a little help from Viddyoze, you'll be well on your way to creating amazing YouTube videos that will captivate your audience and grow your channel. Remember that you can try Viddyoze for free today, so give it a go, then do make sure you hit that subscribe button, as I'll be delivering helpful content every week. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, happy creating.